Sanvanani Dumalan, good evening and welcome to episode 230 of the Private Property Podcast. I'm your host, Uzamantungwa Khumalo. It's a Tuesday edition of the Private Property Podcast, and this is actually quite a big day. I know that a lot of us, and by us, I certainly am not referring to those who are watching, but many, of course, at home are probably glued to their screens and tuned into Umam Notolokhotbom's last broadcast of the isiXhosa News on the public broadcaster, as of course she is getting ready to retire after 37 years at the national broadcaster. I know that many of us, certainly myself included, grew up watching the news and really spending the evening with her in front of us and watching the news. And I think finally having this evening where she's able to very nicely bid us farewell is quite a big achievement. And one of the other things is that it's also a big achievement for us here at Private Property, as many of you have known. I've been speaking about it for the past few weeks. Today, to the exact day, was the first time we had our first broadcast of the Private Property Podcast. And so as one chapter and a very big chapter that comes to an end, we are celebrating 1 year of broadcasting and spending the evening with you at home every single weekday at 7. And I certainly want to say thank you to all of you at home for the past year and the past viewing and really making this podcast grow to where it currently is. And I know we're going to continue growing. It certainly has been an interesting, growthful year, in the past year where we've had so many different episodes, so many different experts, and also grown in how we bring you the podcast. When it started off, we were only on Facebook, and as the weeks and months went by, we're able to bring it to you across the different social media platforms. Some of you at home said, look, I'm not always on Facebook. I want to send this to friends. They're not on Facebook. So is it possible that we also have it on YouTube and other platforms? And we continued listening to all of your great suggestions in how you wanted to see this podcast grow. So thank you very much for all the feedback that you give us. Certainly being patient with us. We've had a number of different technical glitches along the way that also we've learned from in terms of how we can better our system behind the scenes. And we absolutely do appreciate, the love and the support that we have received from you at home. And I think as we get ready to celebrate 1 year, I know that last week I said we're going to have a special broadcast on Thursday that's going to celebrate 1 year. We were talking with the team and we said, actually, we need to make this bigger than what we were thinking. We're going through some of your comments at home and even some of the messages that you sent us in the DMs. And we thought we need to make this slightly bigger than what we're thinking. I think the viewers at home are giving us not just ideas of how big they want it to be, but we certainly want to give you an episode that you are going to cherish and remember us by, and make sure that we open it up to as many of you as possible. So we are going to slightly postpone our 1 year anniversary celebrations, and we will be sharing with you on social media what we're going to be doing, when we're going to be doing it, and how you at home can also be involved. But for now, I wanted to say my thank yous to you at home. I think a year ago at this very moment, I was nervously introducing the first two guests that we had on the show, Uzaki Mieza and Gil Sperling. And we're talking, of course, about landlords and tenants and how they should be very proactive in having a conversation together as we were in lockdown. And when the show started, and I know many of you don't know this at home, when the show started, it was meant to be, a show that was supposed to be over the weekend. So I think we had only agreed to do, I think it was 5 shows because lockdown was supposed to be 21 days. So we we're going to be on Friday and Saturday for the duration of lockdown. And that was essentially it. But I think it was after episode 2 or episode 3 where the team said, listen, we're actually getting really good feedback. Can we do this every day? And I had to go think, am I going to be able to be with you every single weekday in the evening, and we certainly were able to pull it off. So from thinking we'll only do a weekend show to coming to your screens every single weekday, and then of course growing the family, where we've added another, other hosts of amazing shows that come to your screens, of course, at 8 p.m. And none of this would have been possible without you at home. So a very big thank you for you, a very big thank you rather to you at home for the time that you spend with us, all the comments, all the engagement, also sharing with your friends and family all the great content that we have on your screens. And of course, talking about the other great shows that have now sprung up in the months that we've been on air, I am talking about the Home Shoppers show that Chad brings to your screens every Monday and Friday. So if you're in the market rather for a new property, that is a show that you do not want to miss out. And sometimes maybe you just want to see what's out there. I mean, some of the shows that Chad previews are absolutely, some of the houses that he previews are absolutely gorgeous. I can't afford them yet, but it's always great to see what is out there and certainly help you daydream about one day living in that exquisite mansion. And every Tuesday and Thursday, Umbali Nwoko brings you the farming podcast. So for all your agricultural needs, if you've ever thought of venturing into agriculture, and it doesn't matter where in the agricultural value chain you want to go into, Umbali Nwoko is the lady who's going to help you make those decisions during the farming podcast. Because one of the things about farming and agriculture is that there are so many different players in the value chain, and there's so many different business opportunities that you sometimes don't even have to own your own farm. I know many of us think, you must own your own farm, you must have your own crops, but there are so many different opportunities. There's quite a rise of agri-tech innovations that we certainly need in the country and the continent. So if you want to get a better sense of what some of those are, and if you want to better your knowledge in that space, then do make sure that you tune into that show. And on Wednesday, Esther Claassen brings you the First-Time Home Buyers Show, where she's always in conversation with people who've walked that first-time home buying journey and have now gone on to really grow their property portfolio. So she takes us in conversation with them with how they got started and some of the things they got right early on that is essentially set them up to doing phenomenally well in their podcast. But those are some of the shows that you can look forward to across the private property social media platforms. And of course, these shows would not have been possible without you at home. So thank you very much for continue showing us the love and engaging us. We're definitely going to be bringing you more on your screens. Now, one of the other things that you absolutely always see on your screens, and you've been seeing it for the past 11 weeks, is, of course, the Sherlock Holmes competition that we are running across our social media platforms and on our website. And all you have to do for the Sherlock Holmes competition is to go onto our website, www.privateproperty.co.za, and crack the week's riddle. Now, the riddle for this week, I think the Gautengers are probably going to absolutely love this one. And I always, like giving a tip to some of the regions that probably might have a leg up on the other regions. And the riddle for week 11 is: Kempton parks at this house in one of two garages. You find 4 rooms to rest and enjoy in high definition. That is the riddle for week 11 of our Sherlock Holmes competition. So do make sure that you enter on our website and you stand a chance of walking away with a 5,000 Rand voucher on Fridays. Because it is a public holiday this coming Friday, we'll only be announcing the winner next week. So do be mindful of that at home. And of course, every Wednesdays and Thursdays, we also announce a spot cash prize of 500 Rands. And the only way you can claim that is that you have to be watching us live in order to claim the prize. So we certainly love making the circle bigger. And this evening, as we, I want to say low key, but certainly as we think about how we've been on air for a year, and I want to hear from you down here, were you watching our first episode? And if you weren't, what was the first episode that you watched at home? Share with us down here below. We absolutely love hearing from you. Now, for episode 230, we've got somebody that we've had on the show before, and we're talking about something that I know a lot of us are doing at home. I know I'm doing this in some of the properties, so it's always great speaking to our guests, because whenever I was saying this to him off air, every time I speak to him, I learn something new, and I almost go back to the drawing board. I always make a little note of it so that the next time I'm in the same situation, I know exactly what to do. And we're looking at key considerations when you're for renovating your